What a hell of a game that was between the Rams and the Panthers. And let me tell you, I was stressing through that thing. I was sweating through that thing because the Rams were my Super Bowl pick. And so I was going to look like an ass clown in front of all of y'all. And I wouldn't really know how to recover from that. So for that reason, I'm grateful that the Rams were able to find a way to navigate to victory. But hats off to the Panthers. Caps off to the Panthers for giving them a fight today. And it just goes to show you, there's every year you go into the playoffs, and there's these matchups that people will look at. Usually, where you have a double-digit favorite, and like, oh yeah, this team's just gonna roll. This team doesn't have a chance. This thing's gonna get ugly early, and it'll be quickly over with. And then something like today happens, and Carolina hangs around for the entire game. And now it is important to note that very early on, I watched that first drive, the Rams marched right down the fields. It was incredibly easy. And with all the respect, I was thinking that this thing was going to be very quickly over with because Carolina looked stagnant on offense. And that first drive was a quick 3-and-out. Rams a good field position, drive right down the fields. But it was the resilience of the Panthers that kept them in this thing. And I've got a lot of respect for that. I can't say enough about that. On the flip side, the Rams kept doing things that kept the Panthers in this game. And one that I want to call out is a point in the second quarter where the Rams are on fourth down. And instead of taking the 3 and trusting their defense, they go for it. And I know it was only like 4th and 2, but it's ballsy to do that because you risk giving your opponent momentum. The whole fourth down, go for it decision thing, it's so situational. And I feel like a lot of guys just like to go for it. I know that Sean McVay is one of those guys, and I love Sean McVay. He's one of my favorite coaches in the NFL. But he is one of those guys that will always be very aggressive on fourth down. And so they're up 17-7 at that point. They take the 3, they go up 20-7, and then they go into half with that. You trust your defense to get a stop. You go into the half with a 13-point lead, and you just keep building on it. You get the ball at half, and you just keep building on it. But no, that turnover on downs in front of the Rams' home crowd gives them momentum. They drive down the field, they score, they make it 17-14. And 17-14 feels a lot different than 20-7. The conversation would have been the Rams are dominating them. Exactly what we thought was going to happen is happening. And instead it became, the cardiac Panthers are sticking around. So just the game management there, I've never been a huge go for on fourth down all the time guy. And that right there is a huge reason why. But I've got to give my flowers to Bryce Young. As a Bama guy, it feels really good saying that. He gained All right, we're back in business. I'm sorry. I'm having continued issues here with my connection. I'm starting to get a little frustrated with it, but we keep things composed and buttoned up on here. Jalen Coker, back to Jalen Coker, 134 receiving yards. He absolutely balled out tonight. He was one of the main guys that kept Carolina in this thing, but ultimately, Puka Nacua, 111 receiving yards. Devontae Adams, who got his shit rocked at one point in this game, just continues to ball, continues to be a reliable target in his first game back in 3 weeks. It was great to see him back in midseason form and he did that hit. He absolutely got his shit rocked. Bit his tongue. Like, it'd take him into the blue tent, look at him. He got cleared, concussion protocol, all that. He was just fine and continued to play. And how about Colby Parkinson rising to the occasion and catching that absolute dot from Matt Stafford to win this thing? I mean, you were thinking after that Matt Stafford interception in the fourth quarter, man, the momentum is going to keep rolling and Carolina's going to pull this thing off. But no. The Rams, they hang in this thing. They stay locked in. They drive down the field down only 31-27. And then the Panthers get it back. Not a lot of time. Have to drive down the field to get a field goal. But I was always confident in the Rams defense when they got the Panthers far back on their own side of the fields. When they were in situations when the Panthers had really good field position, that's when they were starting to get things going. But if they pin them up closer to the end zone or inside their own 30, I like the Rams' chances of getting a stop. So once they got that kickoff there, I was pretty confident they were going to make a stop, and they did. One thing that I want to assess here, moving down the line. So I said at the beginning of this reaction that the Rams are my Super Bowl pick, and they remain my Super Bowl pick. I stand on business. We keep things 100 around here. But the one thing that I am concerned about moving forward is the health of Matt Stafford's right hand. Because we've seen it time and time again with quarterbacks in the past. When you get that throwing hand banged up, your release point's not the same. You don't have the same zip on the ball. You don't have the same accuracy. You saw this happen to Matt Stafford early on in the game, and there was a clear difference between him before that injury and him after the injury. Now, I don't know how the hell he was able to pull off the magic with that throw to Colby Parkinson, because that thing was incredible. That was a dot. But he had a lot of passes in the third and fourth quarter where it was just off. It was just off the mark. Very uncharacteristic throws out of Matt Stafford. And so we're going to see how he rehabs that thing during the week, because that could be an ongoing issue for the Rams going on the line. And another thing I want to take into account for the Rams, and now this has been an issue all season long. Special teams. Okay, I look for completeness offensively, defensively, special teams. Everybody overlooks special teams. With this team, you cannot, because it has caused issues all year long. I mean, today, for instance, blocked punt. That gave the Panthers more momentum, and it was those plays. It has haunted the Rams all season long. I want to say in 4 of the Rams' 5 losses this year, there's either a defensive turnover or a special teams blunder. And it continues to be those things, those pop plays that give opponents momentum that has screwed the Rams. You saw that happen in that Seahawks game. You saw it happen in that Falcons game. And you almost saw it happen today. Turnovers, 3 interceptions. That was the fuel for the Panthers' fire back on Thanksgiving weekend. And this game was starting to feel a lot like that, where even though the Rams look better, the Panthers are just continuing to hang in this thing. So those are 2 concerns with the Rams moving forward: Matt Stafford's hands and their special teams. I feel like those are 2 things that could hold them back. But love Puka Nacua, one of the best receivers in the NFL. Devontae Adams, one of the best receiving duos in the NFL. You got Kyron Williams playing his ass off this year. You've got Blake Corum starting to pop off as well. And y'all know I love that defense. I'm a big Quentin Lake fan, big Byron Young fan, big Jared Verse fan. I continue to have confidence in that entire unit. But let's talk Panthers before we end this thing. And I want to end it here soon because the Packers-Bears game is about to start. But this is a hell of a season for the Panthers. At a very unexpected time. Because vibes have been low in Charlotte for a while. I mean, there's even that podcast that discontinued this year. That Panthers podcast discontinued. And then they tried to bring it back, and everybody shut on them for that reason. But, like, that's how down bad this Panthers team was. Fans were starting to give up. And for them to be able to rekindle themselves this year and find ways to win games, and I still think that they're developing identity on the offensive and the defensive side of the ball. That's why they're going to give Bryce Young the 5th-year option and not give him a full extension just yet, because he isn't there just yet. He isn't there. But they're making strides. I mean, what you saw out of Jalen Coker tonight was great. What you've seen out of Tet McMillan all year, I mean, that's been phenomenal as well. What we've seen out of J.C. Horn all year has been great. I mean, there's guys, there's draft picks on this Panthers team that are really starting to hit. You know, you're starting to see Canales have a huge impact on this team. So the Panthers have a great trajectory. And I don't like the Bucs trajectory right now. I'm interested to see how the Saints and the Falcons navigate in this division. But right now, I like the Panthers' positioning. And they are further along at this point than I expect them to be. To almost beat a team like the Rams second time is very impressive, and nothing that I expected. I didn't expect them to make the playoffs this year. Didn't expect them to win the division. Didn't expect them to hang in this game. And they just keep on defying expectations. And so, caps off to the Panthers for that. Just going to run through a couple of key stats here. The Rams still had over 411 total yards. The Panthers had 333. The Rams also had 9 penalties today for 83 yards. That is tough to overcome, whereas the Panthers only had 4. And the Rams had more time possession today, 31 minutes and 46 seconds. The Panthers had 28 minutes and 14 seconds. To cap this reaction off, I want to just have one takeaway from this game, one thing that I learned. Doesn't matter the point spread. Doesn't matter the seeding. Doesn't matter what you did for the previous 17 weeks. All that matters in these playoff games are 4 quarters, 60 minutes. And if you're an underdog like the Panthers, you just got to hang in there and capitalize on opportunities. And I've also learned that 2026 might be a crazy year. We go into the year with Miami stunning Ohio State, Indiana waxing Alabama, Wisconsin beat Michigan in hoops today. There's this crazy shit going on. So this might just be the year of insanity for sports, 2026. But it doesn't matter how big the underdog. Once you get into the NFL playoffs, anything can happen. That's what I learned today. That's my takeaway. Let me know what y'all think about this game in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day.